This is a love story, because the ball is his whole world. It belongs to him. And in return, it repays that love. There is a constant exchange between the two of them.
Even if it's been written that way, you never think that it will happen like that. Even if you say, I'd like for things to happen this way. But you know, it really did happen like that, so yes, it's kind of like a dream.
One day, the boy's gaze will embrace the city and give it a new identity. Smile Zidane films his son, Yazid. In the Castellan district of Marseille, everyone knows the young cyclist by the name of Yazid. Later, admiring his portrait, people will call him Zinedine or Zizou. 20 years separate the small bicycle and the huge effigy. Marseille, where the father filmed his curly-haired child. Marseille, where his son one day will look out over the Mediterranean. Like in a dream, the little cyclist rides into the unknown. His mother surely isn't far away. Today, her son is a national hero, proudly adorning the side of a building, the size of a giant and the look of a legend. The small bicycle advances, and Smile Zidane films his son.
It's your parents that kind of show you the way. They show you how to be in life. And my parents were very important for me. They only wanted one thing, and it was to be able to say, my son will do something with his life. That in fact, they always taught us three things: the respect of others, work, and to be serious. And I believe that knowing this, you can succeed in life.
Homespun values and the beginning of an unlimited passion. Yazid discovers football.
It was constantly. But that was true happiness because in the street there's nothing, no obligations. The only obligation is to do what you want with a ball. And that's true happiness.
The boy is happy whatever the weather. Yazid is among his peers, with a family that understands the passion that takes up every afternoon. A footballing family who knows, of course, that Yazid is a pretty good player. A little gangly, perhaps, but with an exceptional talent.
I wasn't the only one good at football. The only thing is that at one point, that's all I thought about. I didn't want to do anything else. At one point, you can say, I want to go and see my friends. I want to do this. I want to go to the movies. I never wanted to go to the movies or to go and see so-and-so, that's all. All I was ever interested in was to kick a ball and play football.
On some nights, Yazid is Enzo, as in Francescoli, Olympique Marseille's Uruguayan legend, the jewel of the velodrome. The young Zidane dreams and finds his first inspiration in Enzo's silky shimmies and swerves. Of Francescoli, he loves
everything. Everything. The way he played, the way he would touch the ball, how he would swerve, his elegance. He was simply incredible to watch. And well, I wanted to be... I don't mean I wanted to be incredible to watch. I wanted to be incredible when I played. I wanted to be like him, because his game was beautiful to watch. And that's not the only thing about Enzo Francescoli. My son's name is Enzo. He's named after him.
His head filled only with football, Yazid joins other young fanatics and finds his first jersey, his first official club, and something to be proud of.
It was called the AS Foresta. The strip was yellow, green and red. I can remember it all. My ears used to stick out, kind of like this. My ears were like this. Can you imagine? They were like this. But I had a lot of hair. My mother would let my hair grow to hide these cauliflower ears. On this picture, you can see that I was captain. I put my arm forwards just to show that I was the captain. But when you're young, you kind of have to show off. And it's a great memory. Because of the neighborhood, it was my first club, my first license, my first pair of shorts and tracksuit. And the next year, it was Saint-Henri. It was the neighborhood next to mine, and it was the next step up. It was new friends, meeting new people. That's all. The Septem uniform was, wow, yellow and red. It was the first team, and we played in a competition which wasn't the case with Saint-Henri and Castellane.
Foresta, Saint-Henri, Septem. Yazid makes constant progress and a host of new friends, finding guardian angels along the way. The first of these is his coach at Septem, Robert Centenero.
Yes, Centenero, who isn't with us anymore. He was very important to me. I mean, he did things for me and for my friends that maybe even my parents couldn't have done. But he did it. He would feed us in his car. He would make us do things. He would actually give us money so that we could buy something to eat. Just like a father. He was incredible. So was Loïc Fagon. When we would go to his pizza place, he had this little pizza parlor. He would make us pizzas and give us Cokes. And for us kids, it was really great.
Yazid is playing for Septem. He's 13 years old. During one game against Saint Raphael, he is noticed by Jean Varot. The eagle eye and the tenacity of the AS-Can scout will forever change his life. Even if for Yazid, the demonstration wasn't that impressive.
I remember that day because I hadn't played very well. And during that game, I'd played sweeper. But in fact, I tried to play as if I was a number 10. In my own penalty area, I was trying to do nutmegs and things.
He makes him play libero, and the first ball he touches, he wants to play around and goal. He wasn't happy.
I wasn't good that day. But he had said, no, I have to see him again. He has to spend a week in Cannes. So I spent a week there and it went really well, and that was the beginning of my career.
He heads for Cannes, and the transition is difficult, sometimes bringing young Yazid to tears. But the support of his host family, the Elino, helps him immensely. Monsieur Varot is always there if he needs him.
I think that I've been very lucky in life, and that's what I say today. You can have all the qualities you want. You can be very good. You can say that one day you'll be a professional in a given field. But at some point, you also need a lot of luck. And people around you, people that are good for you. And I've been lucky enough to have met people that wanted to help me and that were always good to me. Jean Varot has always been there for me. When I was in Cannes, I spent 7 years in Cannes. During those 7 years, he was always there for me. Always, always, always.
For me, he's like a second son. I'd do it again.
He wants his second son to succeed and devotes all his energy to the cause.
Monsieur Varot comes into my office and he asked me to come and watch the kids' training. It was right next to the pros' training ground. But I was tired and I said, Mr. Varot, well, I'll see him tomorrow. I'll see him next week. I was tired, I didn't want to leave my office. And he insisted so much that I left my office. I went to the training field to see Yazid. And so that first time he was in the middle of a game with the other trainees. Yazid was the youngest, and right there, the first time, maybe the first or second time he touched the ball, you could tell there was something special in his technique. He was really very, very good.
In Cannes, Zinedine is in close contact with experienced trainers and a number of talented teammates. He works unfailingly, his talent shines through, and his lifetime ambition gets closer every day.
I was training with the other trainees. I can see the professional players training next to me. I'd see them in the locker rooms. I'd say hi to them. And I'd say, why not me? And that's when I realized that I could become a professional too.
I remember that often during the week he would train with the pros, and during his free time, when his friends went to the movies or went shopping, he would come by himself. He'd knock at my office door and ask for a ball, and then he'd go onto the pitch to train, to juggle, to practice his swerves. We'd also put up a wall that he'd shoot against, and he would work on the inside of his foot, the outside of his right foot, his left foot, how to control and everything. He's a boy who worked very, very hard, especially in the beginning, and I think that his real strength is that he worked harder than the others to succeed, and his success is no accident.
Jean Fernandez was the trainer for the first division team, so when a kid comes round, it's like, what does he want? He has to show everything he can do. He has to give his all. And so yes, that's what I did. I worked hard.
May 20th, 1989, and Zinedine discovers the first division in Nantes. He's not yet 17, but already a top-flight player. He plays for 12 minutes, and AS Cannes obtain a draw. At the final whistle, Zinedine doesn't yet know that a surprise awaits him in the heat and clamour of the dressing room.
We went into the locker rooms and it was a double bonus. So double bonus back then was huge for me since I was earning almost nothing. I got 5, maybe 6 times my salary. So I thought about it and decided to buy myself a pair of Levi's. Levi 501s. For once I could buy something decent. And then after I used to give a little money to my parents. I remember as if it was yesterday. I remember everything. Everything that was good. Everything that was good, I remember. I played my first game as a full member of the team against Auxerre. And we lost 3-0 at home. It was pretty bad for a first time. I wasn't very good. I was still pretty young. And when you play in your hometown and you're young, and you miss 2 or 3 passes, and there's a crowd watching, well, you don't feel too clever. And I didn't play for 5, 6, 7 games, and then they put me back in. And it was against Nantes. And we're in Nantes, and we either drew or won. And I hit the post, and I had a good game. And from then on, I was never out of the team, and I carried on playing. It was at La Boca that I scored my first goal in the first division, and again it was against Nantes, a team that really brought me luck. And just after the goal, I did a little dance. This kind of funny little dance.
But someone is watching this dance through different eyes. His future wife, Veronique.
I met her the day before the game, before my first goal. I scored my first goal, and then everything else followed.
The pace picks up for the new number 11, with his inspired ball control, his fancy footwork, and particularly the good results. Cannes finishes the season in 4th place and qualifies for the UEFA Cup. They play 4 honourable games throughout Europe and are finally stopped by Dynamo Moscow. However, in France, the season is chaotic. AS Cannes is relegated to the 2nd division. Zinedine is not yet 20 years old.
That was my first really bad memory. The first thing that really got me down, yes.
Zinedine will not play in Division 2. He's too talented and too attractive for the big French clubs. Bordeaux and Marseille are lining up, even if OM doesn't seem that keen.
They thought that Zidane was a little too slow, but with Alain Aflaloux, we didn't find him slow at all.
Bordeaux for me was exactly what I needed football-wise and also in my life. That's where I got married, where I had my first child, and where I started to become a man.
In Bordeaux, Roland Courbis coaches Zinedine with his customary wily intelligence, adapting his coaching methods perfectly to Zinedine's very specific physical characteristics.
Mr. and Mrs. Zidane made a son that is, morphologically, very particular, with a technical ability due to, of course, his talent, but also due to his feet, going slightly inward, his knees making an X. But this unusual physique also makes him fragile.
Roland Courbis often replaces me, in fact, to preserve me, and it's all right because I can play 50 minutes, an hour. I manage to score, I manage to be good. That's enough. It's the season where I played the furthest back and scored the most goals. Yeah, that's football. Yeah.
A first successful season in Bordeaux. 35 games, 10 goals scored, and a number of decisive passes to his #1 teammate and new friend, Christophe Dugarry.
When I got to Bordeaux, I wasn't really friends with Christophe. We knew each other, but we weren't really close. We were always at the same level through the different national teams, juniors, under-15s, all throughout our teen years. And then I really got to know Christophe in Bordeaux, over a 4-year period. He really makes me laugh, yeah. That's also why we're such good friends. It's because we make each other laugh.
Their off-field friendship and on-field complicity transform Bordeaux's game. This dream team presents Zidane, Lizarazu and Dugarry, among others, to an international stage. The fans are delighted with a new and exceptional generation of players.
There were the results, there was an atmosphere, there were people, characters of all kinds. Every day there was something to be learned. It was great.
And then Zinedine discovers a new talent. His right foot is perfect for striking unreachable free kicks, and he becomes the terror of frightened walls and opposing goalkeepers.
I don't mean that I was Platini or anything, but it's true that I started to realize, and especially when I started to score, I started to realize and to believe in myself. What really helped me is that I was the only free kick taker around the ball. I mean, when there are 2 or 3 good players, you can be sidetracked. There, all the other players would let me take them. That was really great because they would leave me alone and let me concentrate on my free kick. That was great. I scored more free kicks at the Parc Lescure than away from home, but that's also due to the crowd, perhaps. The crowd would help me, and before I hit a free kick, they would shout, "Zizou, Zizou," and so, of course, I couldn't let them down. When I scored, there was this thing that would happen. They were ready to explode, and I was the same, ready to join in to celebrate that with them. When that happens, it's positive. It's always good. When you miss, Zizou, Zizou, that's the way it goes.
Against the Germans of Karlsruhe, the crowd chants his name and Oliver Kahn crashes into the goalpost. In the press box, the reviews reach new heights.
Yes, I remember back then Platini commentating on the game. Pretty good free kick, but coming from him it was great.
Il est parfait ce coup franc. Il est parfait. Pas beaucoup d'élan, beaucoup de force. Bien enveloppé, le ballon tourne.
Zidane is making his mark. During the summer of '94, a very important date awaits him.
August the 17th, 1994. First day with the French team. My parents were there that day for the first time. As if it were predestined.
When Zizou came on, it was breathtaking. We were losing 2-0. Just a few minutes before the end, and he just dazzled us with his talent. It was amazing.
The pass is pretty quick, and it goes past me. In fact, I don't touch it. The defender comes towards me, and I do this dummy. The ball is nicely placed, and I'm around 30 meters, 25, 30 meters from it, and then I just shoot. It was a left-footed shot. I don't usually shoot with my left foot. So I was a bit surprised, because scoring a goal like that, especially in Bordeaux in front of all those people who were already happy just to see me. In fact, the second goal is a corner from Angloma. Jocelyn Angloma hits to the near post, and I jump. With my head. I don't usually score with my head. It's really very rare. I'd never done that before, scored 2 goals in one game, no matter what category, juniors, under-15s, under-21s. 2 goals is something, not bad.
An incredible shot, and an incredible header, at the end of the game. Can you believe that?
A few months earlier, the French national side had failed to qualify for the United States World Cup. But then come the qualifications for Euro '96. The French team is inconsistent, playing out a series of dreary draws. In October '95, the game against Romania in a hostile Bucharest stadium is crucial. Without beating about the bush, the sports daily L'Équipe titles their front page, Euro or Shame.
Well, we were up against it. We had to do something about it. And so we did.
The French team wins 3-1 and qualifies thanks to Karembeu, Djokaev and Zidane, who scores a magnificent third goal. A display that heartens the players themselves and encourages the team coach that his persistence has paid off. That evening, Aimé Jacquet realizes that he has a generation of highly talented and complementary players. It was in Bucharest that the foundations of future success were laid.
Well, for me, yeah, everything started right there.
The French team continues with 7 straight wins, breezing through a number of friendly matches. Against Greece, Zizou scores again. Game after game, his presence in the national squad becomes increasingly vital and charismatic, and the same applies to his club. It is July 1995, and out of nowhere, Bordeaux is making an impression in Europe.
We go through the Intertoto from the small scale
This leg in San Siro is torture for Bordeaux. Savicevic's Milan team is clearly superior on the night, and Zidane's teammates probably a little too respectful. The Italians win 2-0 with a perfect free kick from Roberto Baggio. Without really showing what they can do, Bordeaux already looks to be eliminated.
After the game, it's always hard to believe, because before you say, well, if we play this way and they play that way, well, it'll all be over. But in fact, the return match, it's a whole different atmosphere in the stadium. And we all go into the field, and the people have been there since 6 p.m, and they're shouting, they're singing and having fun and making noise. And right there you can feel something, and we all look at each other. You can feel that these people are communicating something. We say to ourselves, tonight anything's possible, it's our chance, we're playing against the great AC Milan, we've nothing to lose. All we have to do is make history. So we're going to give it our best shot. We're a good team, why not? We say to ourselves, in fact, we have a strategy, and we know that if we score during the first 15 minutes, anything is possible.
March 19th, 1996. The first quarter of an hour. Didier Tolo brings the Parc Lescure to its feet. 2 more goals are needed in order to make history.
And afterwards, we're all euphoric.
Zidane qui allume Monsieur Caca. Ouais, il est beau en pivot. Dugarry. Le but de Christophe Dugarry et Massou. 2-0.
After it's crazy because...
Lizarazu, Zidane. Allez, 3 contre 3 si Panucci ne revient pas. Ouh là là, Zidane qui va le redonner à Dugarry dans la surface. Allez, frappe et but. Oh, quel but. Super. Voilà, quel but de Christophe Dugarry. 3-0 pour Bordeaux.
That's my first big memory as a football player. On the field. It's my first big victory. That's for sure. When you win a game against AC Milan, you want to win everything after that.
During the semi-final, Slavia Prague in turn yields to the flamboyant duo. Zidane unsettles, directs, distributes. Dugarry is right on target. The osmosis is at its height. Duga-Zizou, Zizou-Duga. This perfect combination qualifies Bordeaux for the final. A magnificent 10-month adventure from the Intertoto Cup to Bayern Munich.
We couldn't not get to the final, it was impossible.
But sadly the duo is confined to the stands of the Olympic Stadium for the first leg. Christophe and Zinedine both received yellow cards against Prague, bringing an automatic suspension for the match in Bavaria. Without them, their team concedes 2 goals. A powerful header by Helmer and a devious free kick from Scholl. Of course, Bordeaux has already pulled back 2 goals against Milan, but the Germans have been forewarned.
After, there was the return match, but there's nothing to say about that game.
Even with Zidane and Dugarry, Bayern win again in Bordeaux. Zizou is clearly disappointed with his first final defeat.
Not on the night of the game, because there's nothing to be said. But you're a little disappointed when you look at everything from the beginning. You think, boy, we started out with the Intertoto, we played 18 games. You get to the final and you lose like that. Yeah, you're a little disappointed.
Disappointed, physically exhausted, and the European Championship is imminent. Zinedine is the victim of a car accident just a few days before the competition and is not in great shape.
The Euro went the way it did. Not very well, but I don't want to say that it was because of the accident, because I wanted to play in the Euro, and if I hadn't been able to do it, well, I wouldn't have played.
For the first time, Aimé Jacquet has started to build the team around him. At the age of 23, Zizou is France's number 10 playmaker. He knows that everyone is expecting the most improbable of miracles.
That didn't scare me. Maybe I wasn't up to what everyone expected, but it didn't scare me to be the number 10 in the French team.
To start with, the French team is up against Romania. The English Euro begins with a victory and a goal by Gigari. But Zinedine is below par, and he is obviously tired. Nonetheless, the French team advances with a draw against Spain and a 3-1 win against Bulgaria. For Zizou, this means a 4-day rest and the chance to face Holland in the quarter-finals. As the sun shines over Liverpool, crunch time for Aimé Jacquet's team has now come. They are up against one of the favourites of the competition. And Zinedine gives one of his finest performances. First, a free kick that flies inches wide of the post. The shot is perfectly struck and the majority of the crowd are Dutch. They hold their breath in silence. If Laurent Blanc scores now, France goes through to the semi-final.
It was during the semi-finals where I wasn't good. I would have loved someone to take over that day and do something better than what I did. Really.
But that day, no one is there to take over. The surprise guest of the semi-finals is the Czech Republic, with a solid defense and an inspired strike force. A difficult equation for the French to solve, especially as Zizou is physically borderline. He can still bamboozle the defense, but he's off target. In the end, the closest call comes from Djorkaeff's right foot. And just as against Holland, the game goes into extra time. Fighting back cramp, Zinedine and his teammates take to the Old Trafford turf once more. The suspense is unbearable as Reynald Pedros prepares to shoot. The Nantes player watches helplessly as his shot is pushed away. The last Czech player is cool under pressure and sends the young Republic into the final. France is eliminated.
The Euro was very difficult, but he was unfortunate. I'm sure that if he had been, then we would have won. Because during the Euro, he wasn't in great shape.
Just after the European Championships, Zizou leaves for Turin and becomes a Bianconero. Juventus is the best team in the world and has just won the Champions League.
Bordeaux, Cannes. That was real happiness. When I went to Juventus, everything became so tense.
He had everything he needed. He played like he knows how to. He has a natural talent. He plays the way he feels it. I don't think a trainer can teach him anything, either in his way of moving or his positioning. But he does lack one thing: winning, being used to winning.
I'd never won anything before that. I arrived in a club that always wanted everything, that wanted to win everything. Always, every game, every performance. That's when you learn a lot. That's when I learned what real football was all about. You had to say to yourself, before going onto the field, I'm going to win. And that's how I was with Juventus.
With Michel Platini as their star performer, Juventus ruled in the 80s. Both men play in the same position, making comparisons inevitable.
It's true that that was hard to cope with at the beginning. Then after a while, people began to start to see Zidane and not Platini anymore. Even if Platini remains in their hearts and minds. But when they saw me, and that's important.
With Didier Deschamps' help, Zidane discovers Italian-style training, and it's tough.
He made himself sick with it. He worked very hard physically, and maybe that's what he lacked.
In Italy, you really work out. But at Juventus, I think it's the club where you work out the most. I hated the beginning of the season, all that preparation. I knew that I was going to suffer for 3 weeks because that's what it was. I could never fully recover. We would work out so much that it was hard to recover physically, enough for the games. And yes, I would feel that at the beginning of the season.
It's hard work, but Marcello Lippi, the coach, shows unfailing support right from the start.
I must say that in the beginning, Zinedine had a few problems. But it was impossible, when you saw Zizou, not to want to help him, not to want to love him and protect him.
Lippi was very important to me, because he always trusted me. He's the only one. The only one to have believed in me, really, 100%. He told me, you'll make it. I remember a story. We were playing against Rapid Vienna in the Champions League. He comes to me and says, okay, listen, tomorrow I'm not letting you play. I'm not going to put you in the team at all. All that I want is for you to train for Sunday's game against Inter. In fact, we had a league game against Inter Milan. He told me, prepare yourself for this game. I know you're going to be great. I was happy that he talked to me and that he'd said that. Even though I wanted to play in all the games, I couldn't because I was too tired. And I could feel it. And just the fact that he said to me, well, you sit out this game because you need the rest. I felt like I'd found another Roland Courbis from when I was in Bordeaux. And when he would tell me, now you rest, here you be careful, here you're going to be careful, you're not going to play so much, I'll replace you at this point in the game. And that reassured me. And the league game we played against the Inter was all because of that. And voila. The ball goes straight into the net. I was going to say the top corner, but that's not true. I would like to say the top corner, but that's wrong. It goes into the goal, and the score's 1-0. There was a new player who arrived that year. His name was Metrano, young player. And during 2 months, we had a good relationship, but he never said anything to me. He never said, you're going to have a great game. That night he said something to me, and it surprised me. He said, tonight you'll make the team win, you'll score. You'll score a goal and you'll make the team win. And he says that like that. And when I scored, I turned towards a player, and it was him. I was so happy, and I said to myself, well, it's kind of thanks to him. We win the game, I score a goal, and we go to the top. And at the end of the year, we're the champions. There couldn't have been a better scenario possible.
In the world's toughest championship, Zinedine finally gets confirmation of his new status. He's a fuori classi, as the Italians say, a giant among giants. 29 games, 5 goals, a European Super Cup, a World Club Championship, and above all, an Italian league title, Juventus' 24th Scudetto. His first season is a resounding success.
I attained a level I'd never had before. I was consistent throughout the year. When I played in Bordeaux or in Cannes, I was good in one game, mediocre in the next. And here I was getting more and more consistent. Also, when you play a second season, it's always difficult to confirm what you've done. The second year, everyone expects you to win, but it's not easy to win 2 years straight. 2 straight seasons, especially the Italian Championship. We all thought it was going to be difficult, but in fact it wasn't.
It is as masters of the calcio that the black and white dominate the 97-98 season. Zizou plays in 32 games, scores 7 goals, and his talent continues to enchant an ever-increasing number of admirers.
The second year was the best one. It was almost perfect. The way the team played, and him.
2 games before the end of the season, Juventus wins another Scudetto, the 25th of its history, the second consecutive one for Zinedine. Twice champion of Italy alongside Davids, Deschamps and Del Piero, whereas during 8 seasons in France, he never won a League Champions medal.
I'm happy. To win 2 years in a row, 2 consecutive Scudettos is something exceptional. Didier won 3 times, I've won twice, and I'm really happy. For me, I was good on the field. What more can you ask? The only title we didn't get was the Champions League. I remember the semi-final of the Champions League against Ajax of Amsterdam. For me, it's a reference because my game was really at a pretty good level. It was exceptional. I wasn't really surprised by it, but I was proud of it.
Proud of his last goal-making pass after an incredible display of technical mastery. Proud to have scored a goal from the planet Zidane.
I was proud to play in that team and to play the way I did.
The only regret I have in my football career is to have only played 1 year with him.
Twice, however, Juventus lose in the Champions League final. First against Borussia Dortmund, then versus Real Madrid.
You can always lose. It happens. But when you lose the Champions League twice in a row, and you know how difficult it is to get there, to get to the final. Now that's a bad memory.
Memories of the Dortmund and Real Madrid players holding up the coveted trophy. Once again, Zinedine looks on from the losing side. He lost with Bordeaux, he has lost twice with Juventus, picking up runners-up medals that cannot console him.
That people can think that I bring bad luck because I lose 3 finals in a row. It's true that it's a lot. Maybe people wondered what was happening in his head before the World Cup final against Brazil. But in fact, I had this kind of inner strength. We were sure we would win, and I was the first to believe it. So you see, even having lost 3 finals, I had this desire. And we said, this one's at home and the cup is going to stay here.
Before the historic date of July 12, 1998, the French national side play friendly games for 2 years, including against Italy in June 1997. A period during which Zinedine has only one thought in mind.
To be able to be at the World Cup in 1998, it's true, I had that vision. Yes, that's what I had in my head.
Alors, ce que vous voyez ici, ce sont les 18 aiguilles qui soutiennent le toit.
The Stade de France, the future stadium of his French team. The pride of Inauguration Day, January 28th, 1998. Spain has been undefeated for 4 years. It's colder than Siberia, but no matter. This is followed by another 4 months of friendly games and cutting comments in the media. 4 months punctuated with rare moments of brilliance. For example, this goal against Norway at the Velodrome. There are not many players in the world capable of such cool control and clinical finishing. And within the French squad, team spirit and confidence are building, and their impatience to face a real challenge increases every day.
We were really keen to start our first World Cup game. I remember the day before. Our training session was catastrophic. Just the day before. That's why we were even more proud when we won. There were so many little things that had an effect. So many things emotionally that I felt before the game.
The Mistral blows over and around the Velodrome in Marseille, whose closest friend takes to the field.
I was happy that he was part of that, to see him come onto the field. It was great to see him score, and it was even better because I was able to help him do it.
Dugarry scores and France wins.
Before that, I don't know. But after that first game, we said to ourselves that the squad was confident and we really wanted to win. We knew that we had something really exceptional to do.
Their form is confirmed 6 days later against the modest Saudis. Zinedine conducts his players beautifully. France wins 4-0 with 2 goals from Thierry Henry. Zizou is brilliant, but somehow he wants to be even better.
They ask you to do your best, to give 100%, and maybe I wanted to be even better than that, and that's not good.
Zinedine cracks after suffering a flurry of fouls and rakes a Saudi player's back with his studs.